Alright, you and I are about to watch our main character, Su Ming, clear the legendary S-rank Death Den. It is the most ancient dungeon in the world, the very first S-rank ever seen. Su Ming finally emerges, looking completely drained after slaying those god-tier beasts. But to his shock, a group of warriors is waiting, eyes fixed on him like hungry wolves, demanding the divine artifact he just won. They know he is the god of slaughter, but they still tell him to prepare for his certain death. Su realizes his best friend Jiang Xuan planned this. The guy he has fought beside for years now wants to steal all his power. Furious, Su Ming readies himself for a fight, daring them to try and take the Divine Ring of Defiance. As Su powers up, they notice he is already tapping into the artifact's insane, godlike energy. They prepare to rush him, but Jiang tells them to wait for the plan to finish. Suddenly, Ren Xiaoman descends from the sky, catching Su Ming totally off guard. She hugs him tight, claiming she heard about the trap and came here to save his life. Su tells her not to worry. With the divine artifact in his hands, these guys do not stand a chance. But one question is eating at him: how did Jiang and the others find his exact location in this dungeon? Now pay attention, because this is the moment Ren stabs him in the gut and admits she sold him out. Horrified, Su asks why she would do this, but she just activates a spell as Jiang cheers that the plan is finally complete. He orders her to trigger the prison formation, and immediately, Ren runs to Jiang's side, while glowing chains burst from Su Ming's wound. He finally realizes she betrayed him long ago, partnering with Jiang just to steal this artifact. He curses them both, realizing he was nothing but a tool for their selfish, heartless greed. Without wasting a second, the whole group charges in to finish him off and grab the prize for themselves. Suddenly, a wave of skeletons appears as a woman named Ji Yao screams for the warriors to stop. The undead block the incoming strikes, while Ji Yao begs Su Ming not to give up hope yet. Jiang mocks her, saying she has a death wish. With so many masters on his side, there is absolutely nobody who can save them now. As attacks rain down, Jiang draws his blade and ruthlessly slashes through Ji Yao without a second thought. Su screams as he sees her fall. When Jiang moves in for the kill, Su grits his teeth in agony, grabs the chains, and shatters them with raw force. Everyone is stunned to see him unleash a divine-level technique that should only be possible with the artifact's full power. He rushes to her side, asking why she would come for someone who let her down so many times before. She weakly touches his face, whispering that if he is going to die, she is going with him. Let this sink in for a second, carrying her. Su vows on his title that if he is reborn, he will hunt every single one of them down. They see him retreating back into the death den and rush forward, terrified he will take the divine artifact with him. But Su just tosses the ring aside and leaps into the abyss with Ji Yao in his arms. He wakes up wondering if he is dead, only to find himself back at the academy for the 127th awakening ceremony. This is where 18-year-olds awaken their powers, with their entire future decided by the class they receive today. Su looks around, realizing he has lived through this exact moment once before. It is all real. He has actually regressed back to when he was only 18 years old. The names being called and the powers being revealed match his memories perfectly. Nothing has changed from the original timeline. He smiles, knowing he has a second chance, as memories of the betrayal flash vividly before his eyes. Suddenly, Jiang successfully awakens as a magic hammer warrior. The students cheer wildly, seeing his incredible 8-star innate attribute. While everyone else praises his family background, Su just stares daggers at the traitor. Ji Yao suddenly appears, telling Su Ming she has been looking for him. He is so stunned to see her alive that she wonders if something is on her face. Su congratulates her in advance. She is confused, but he is just genuinely happy to see her again. The announcer calls her name next. As she reaches out to touch the heavenly stele, they all realize she has awakened a hidden class just like Jiang, appearing as a powerful level 7 necromancer. Everyone is blown away that one single class has 2 hidden profession awakeners. It feels almost like overkill. Finally, it is Su Ming's turn to touch the heavenly stele. As he walks up, his classmates laugh at the idea of an orphan being the 3rd hidden awakener on this planet called Blue Star. Trust me, you and I are about to see the greatest comeback in history as this ceremony unfolds. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a world where the awakened hold the power to bend national laws and amass wealth, though they must also survive deadly beasts and dungeons. And even with all the risks that come with awakening, our main character Su spent his past life as a lonely orphan relying on handouts and scholarships, before awakening with a legendary 10-star attribute and the God of Slaughter class. Currently, Su stands before the stele, ready to shock the entire world with his true abilities once again. But when he touches the stone, it vibrates so violently that everyone wonders if they're seeing a 9-star rank profession being born. To everyone's absolute shock, including Su, the legendary Ring of Defiance suddenly emerges from the ancient stele. He grabs it, realizing this artifact actually traveled through time just to meet him in this moment. The moment he touches it, a status window pops up and crowns him the ultimate beast slayer with the mythical sword god profession. The announcers are losing their minds over the crazy energy, desperately wondering what kind of legendary profession Su is about to reveal. Meanwhile, Jiang is just confused why Su is standing perfectly still. Now, here's where things get really weird, stick with me. His class suddenly shifts from God of Slaughter to Sword God, featuring a golden talent called Sublimation of All Things. He scans his stats and realizes his potential level is going to be way higher than it was in his previous life. He opens up his skill set only to find that it's completely empty. As he panics while trying to navigate the system, the crowd starts to wonder what is taking him so incredibly long. Finally, the system identifies the Ring of Defiance, and a blinding pillar of light erupts from the stage, shooting straight into the clouds. Everyone looks up to see Su has hit star level 10, but unfortunately, he's awarded the lowly sword controller profession. The crowd is stunned by his level, wondering if they actually have 3 students with hidden classes this year. The problem is that the sword controller isn't considered a high-class path, so that 10-star potential feels like a total waste on such a garbage, low-grade class. When Su returns, his classmates laugh at him, saying he'll have to work twice as hard just to keep up with their points. They look down on him, claiming the best he can hope for is playing a support role in a real battle. Ignoring the haters, Yao happily congratulates Su, calling his 10-star talent incredible and believing he has no limits when it comes to growing even stronger. Su thanks her for the kind words, admitting that everyone's negative reaction was actually exactly what he was hoping to see. She has no idea what he means, but as soon as Ren is called to the stage, the boys start cheering for the school beauty while Yao watches with pure admiration. Just like before, everyone is anxious to see her new class. You and I both know that, look, that's the face of a man who hasn't forgotten how Ren used and betrayed him. As he walks away, he vows to have his revenge. Out on the city streets, Su sees the world hasn't changed at all, with the only real difference being his brand new mythical profession. Checking his status window, he finds his concealment skill, one of the 4 main abilities from his past life that carried over. The system archives his former skills to the catalog, though they're currently sitting at the very first level. Su plans to hide his true power as much as possible to avoid being used like he was before. Based on his memories, he expects a new novice dungeon challenge to appear sometime tomorrow. Knowing it will be a total breeze for him, Su realizes he needs to crush a specific boss during the event, which means he'll need some top-tier equipment first. Meanwhile, Ren is hanging out with Jiang in a hotel suite, teasing him for being so mischievous by inviting her over after the ceremony. He gets furious thinking about the event because Su's high star level stole all the attention he thought he deserved. Ren quickly calms him down, explaining that Su will actually be a very useful tool for them later due to his stats. She shows him her phone to prove how much Su used to be obsessed with her, so she drafts a manipulative message to reel him back in, while Su arrives at a gear shop in the city. He notices students from other schools nearby, meaning they've also finished their ceremonies and are ready to start their journeys. Su spots a group talking about a Tyrant Frigid Sword, a massive diamond-grade weapon that can freeze enemies for a high price. As Su walks right past them, and trust me, Su just smirks because he knows from his past life that the sword is actually a fake. Alright, you and I are diving into the action as Jiang Lan from the massive Jiang conglomerate suddenly introduces herself to Su. Su does not remember her at all, but she does not care. She wants him to carry her sister through the next novice dungeon. Su refuses immediately, but Lan tries to bribe him, saying she will cover the cost for any equipment he wants to buy. Su points to a frosty sky sword worth 1 million coins. Lan freezes, realizing she just walked into a very expensive trap. Annoyed, she asks him if he honestly thinks his skills are worth that kind of massive investment. He reminds her that she made the promise. Then he tells her straight, there are some things that even billionaire money cannot fix. He tells her to make sure her sister actually tries for once instead of relying on a carry. Her guard almost attacks, but she leaves in a huff. Everyone around is stunned that Su just stood up to a tycoon. Out of nowhere, Su gets a text from a girl named Ren. She claims she has a change of heart and wants to meet on the roof. Su knows this script by heart, so he accepts. Before the meeting, he wanders over to a section of the shop that sells mysterious sword stones. It is incredibly rare to find a good weapon in these rocks because most of them are just worthless scraps. The shop staff tries to warn him, but Su is not budging. He is ready to gamble since these stones are dirt cheap. Now watch this closely, this is where it gets good. Su uses his eye of intent to scan the pile. This broken skill allows him to see the base information and potential of every object in existence. He picks a stone for 50 coins. Suddenly, a rich bully named Young Ding and his lackey show up to mock him. They laugh at him for rejecting the Jiang family just to waste money on a piece of useless trash. To crush their pride, Su bets 5,000 coins that he will pull a silver-grade weapon from the stone. They think he has lost his mind and immediately agree to the bet, thinking it is easy money. Su does not waste time. He uses his insight skill to perfectly extract the blade hidden within the rock. To their horror, he pulls out a black iron crimson edge, a silver weapon that heals its master by drinking enemy blood. Su calls it a great find and notes it is the perfect gear for his date later tonight. Young Ding is losing it as Su explains the lifesteal effect. This means he will never even need a healer. Su demands his 5,000 coins, and a trembling Young Ding is forced to pay up right then and there. The receptionist is in total shock. It has been years since anyone pulled anything decent from those old rocks. Su then buys a brand new scabbard using the 5,000 coins he just swiped from the bullies. His status window pops up, revealing that this scabbard will reduce weapon durability loss by 50%. The system offers to unlock a hidden function, but Su decides he is going to evolve the weapon grade instead. With his new gear ready, Su leaves the shop and starts making his way back home. I know what you are thinking, but even Su is confused why his sword god title has 0 skills. Then he finds it the sublimation of all things. This unique talent can upgrade any piece of loot, but it can only be used one single time. He applies it to his sword, granting it the Blood Drinker ability, which heals him every time he lands a hit. It also gives him a 5-point stat boost for 30 seconds, turning him into a temporary monster. With the upgrades finished, Su notes that his preparation for the upcoming dungeon raid is finally complete. Later that night, Su arrives on the rooftop and finds Ren waiting for him in the shadows. She starts acting all innocent and flirty, but she nearly jumps out of her skin when Su suddenly hurls his sword at her. The blade hits the wall right next to her head. Terrified, she asks what is wrong, and Su calmly mentions revenge. She plays the victim, claiming she only asked him out because she knew he liked her so much. She says it is totally insane that he would ever try to kill the girl he used to love. Su remembers how she approached him right after his awakening ceremony, pretending to actually care about him. She kept talking to him until he finally asked her out, and they officially started dating. He used to cherish those memories, but now he realizes every single second of their relationship was a total lie. Su looks her dead in the eye, and tells her he knows all about her plot to use him for Jiang. Ren tries to lie her way out, but Su calls her a shameless gold digger. She finally snaps and shows her true colors. She vows he will regret this. Trust me, you and I are about to see a legendary fallout. Alright, you and I are jumping right into the drama as Su decides to ruin Ren by exposing her secret relationship with Jiang. Pure fury takes over as she lunges at him with his own blade, but the sword's bloodthirsty nature kicks in, slashing her across the cheek. Ren screams in agony, her perfect face ruined forever. Su just picks up his blade and tells her the scars suit her. Finally, payback begins. Ren swears that Jiang will murder him, but Su just shrugs and says he's ready anytime. As he leaves, he tells her that fresh scar represents their final break. Any affection he had for her has been severed forever. Later, Principal Wang hands Su some essential gear and cash for the upcoming novice dungeon raid. The next morning at 6 a.m., Su swallows a marrow strengthening pill, wondering if the old principal actually felt bad for his weak sword controller class. It tastes awful, but Su levels up and unlocks a passive talent to master every sword skill without any limits. As Su heads to the venue, he's ready to show everyone exactly what he's capable of doing. The moment he arrives, a massive crowd of students starts begging him to join their raiding teams. He turns them all down, claiming he's already booked. Yao hears this and feels crushed since she arrived early just for him. Su quietly tells her to stay away because things are about to get dangerous and he can't be worried about her. While they're talking, Yanzi approaches, introducing himself as a level 9 demon hunter who wants Su on his elite squad. Su remembers this guy from his past life and scrambles for a polite way to say no. Yao jumps in to save him, lying that they're already a team. She's surprisingly reliable when things get awkward. Now pay attention, because as the portal opens at 7, the principal's voice booms across the live stream. He lays out the rules. Score points by surviving challenges and finish the entire raid within 24 hours. As he pumps up the crowd, Yao realizes Su has completely vanished from her side. The event officially starts, and rumors fly that someone already charged into the dungeon before everyone else. Deep inside the portal, Su takes a breath. It feels familiar, like stepping back into his own history. In his first life, he was reckless, just chasing whatever points he could find. But this time, he has one goal. He's going straight for the ultimate hidden boss. He spawns in and quickly realizes his starting point is different than it was before. This means every route and every monster has shifted since his last run. Su ducks past an elite tree monster. He could kill it, but he won't waste time on small fry. He checks his map, knowing he needs to move fast to loot the best items first. It's now 7:30 a.m. Yunqing and her party appear nearby. But the eerie silence is broken when a massive blood rat starts hunting a student. They scatter, but 1 minute later, the slaughter begins. You and I are seeing high-level players get torn apart like they're nothing, 3 people, dead in seconds. The crowd outside is terrified. If a 6-star fighter died instantly, what hope do they have? The announcer screams for everyone to form teams immediately because the people inside are getting slaughtered. Yunqing is the only one left, running until she completely loses her way. Suddenly, a massive ape monster leaps out to kill her. She screams for her life, and then a blade flashes. Su arrives, carving through the monster with ease while the rest of the students are busy dying. Watching him handle that beast, Yunqing realizes Su is on a completely different level of power. Su warns her the fight isn't over, and tells her he won't be saving her again. She flees to find backup, which is exactly what Su wanted, some peace and quiet. Using his eye of insight, Su sees this isn't just an ape, it's a mutated king. That explains how it survived his first strike. Now, the creature is charging with insane speed. Su dodges and challenges the beast to a speed contest. Trust me, you and I are about to see Su's legendary Divine Shadow Step in action. You and I are about to watch what happens when a total pro enters a low-level dungeon. The ape spins around and lunges wildly at Su, but Su realizes his speed is on another level. Finding it boring, he ends the fight by lopping off its head. The system rewards him with a linear/scroll for killing the mutated ape king. This bronze skill is perfect for any novice. Suddenly, a notification pops up. Su just earned first blood for being the first to kill a monster. Moments later, a server-wide message announces that a sword controller has successfully taken down a monster. Students at the academy assume it's Su, though some skeptics quickly dismiss the idea. Since other academies are also in the dungeon, everyone is gifted a healing potion as a reward. Hearing his achievement broadcasted, Su realizes he needs to use his concealment skill to stay under the radar. Su strolls through the deep forest. Now watch closely, he's about to test this brand new skill on a pack of wolves that have no idea what's coming. He activates the powerful II slash, focusing his mind before drawing the sharp blade from its sheath. A massive flying slash tears through the air, cutting down every single monster before they even have time to react. Their bodies hit the ground as a flood of experience points fills Su's system window. He continues the slaughter without a second thought, farming until his experience hits 8,000. Right at 9:30 a.m., Su hits level 9 and earns the title, Legend of the Hungry Wolf. He checks his notifications with a calm expression. He reviews his progress and realizes just how efficient his II skill has become. It works perfectly with his sword's ability, which releases built-up energy the second he draws the blade. Curious, Su tests it again, sending a sharp crescent energy wave toward another pack of hungry wolves. But then, a surprise. A massive level 10 Wolf King emerges and bats the attack aside. Meanwhile, at 8:30 a.m., other rookies form parties and step into the novice dungeon to begin their own trials. Soon, they run into a mutated field mouse and attack with every bit of power they have. The fight is a total mess with several casualties, but they finally manage to take the creature down. The rookies cheer wildly, celebrating their hard-won victory over a special monster. Feeling hyped, they vow not to fall behind the mysterious player who sent them those healing potions. However, the system rings again, announcing that another player has claimed first blood on a leader monster. You and I are seeing this right. A humble fisherman just snatched the leader of leaders title. Panic spreads as the group wonders if the profession they laughed at is actually terrifyingly overpowered. 10 minutes earlier, Su was busy chipping away at the Wolf King's health with total precision. From his perspective, this legendary beast is actually nothing special. With a final strike, he kills it, noting that a simple beast can't match a reincarnator like him. The system congratulates Su for defeating the silver-backed Wolf King and displays his massive rewards. He hits level 10, gains 500 experience, and sees his skill proficiency skyrocket. Loot from the boss fills his inventory while the other rookies finally finish their own battles. Ding realizes just how exhausting it is to fight a simple pack of hungry wolves. Luckily, a dungeon title reward gave them an attack boost scroll just in time to survive. Seeing that a level 9 fisherman cleared this so easily, Ding starts to lose his mind. He fumes, complaining that the dungeon is mocking them before tossing his useless novice machete aside. He grumbles about the money he wasted, knowing he could have bought a much better weapon. When his lackey mentions Su's luck, the sore loser snaps and tells him to shut up. He vents about his slow progress and blames the dead weight dragging his party down. Furious, he hopes to find Su in the dungeon so he can personally end him. Stick with me, because you and I both know Ding is heading for a very rude awakening. Somewhere else, Su hits level 10 and triggers his first job change trial. Trust me, you and I are about to see if our main character can actually fix the massive mistakes from his past life. In his last life, he left the dungeon way before hitting level 10. That mistake forced his quest to scale into a brutal E-rank nightmare dungeon. He couldn't even finish it then, grinding to level 15 just to survive the crawl. It ruined his early rewards, but this time, he is rewriting his own destiny. The system gives his target defeat, the Guardian of the Red Rock Cave, an elite monster. Seeing the map, Su relaxes since it is a beginner zone, and he feels totally ready. He dumps all his points straight into agility. Once agility breaks 100, the system grants him a legendary sword god profession skill. Now pay attention, because this skill right here is a total game changer. Meanwhile, at the First Academy meeting room, a board member reports to Principal Wang. They are looking at the rookie dungeon data, highlighting the top talents who are currently standing out from the crowd. The principal scans the top talent but notices that Su's name is missing from the member calmly tells him that the data is perfect and covers every single person who entered that dungeon without fail. She points out the anonymous rookie who secured the first blood achievement instead. Looking at the timing, she is convinced that this mysterious powerhouse is actually Su himself. Principal Wang hesitates, wondering why a 10-star talent is not even in the top 500 yet. Before he can react, the door flies open as the city's vice mayor, and Ranling, storms right in. She demands answers, reminding him that he promised Su would be a legendary 10-star awakening. But the official reports she received show absolutely no sign of his progress. To her, this entire situation makes zero sense at all. Principal Wang tries to calm her down, explaining that 10-star professions often start out a bit slow. Usually, their early-game combat power just takes a while to truly kick in. I know what you're thinking, but this vice mayor is absolutely furious with the principal right now. She points to the number 2 rookie, Yan Zi, a 9-star talent who is actually performing. To her, he is the only one who can compete with the neighboring city's genius. She also mentions Zhang Tong, an 8-star talent with a rare and powerful hidden profession. After looking at the results, she decides to only give him 2 qualification tokens. This is a major insult, since every school gets 3. She mocks the academy's recent failures and threatens to give them 0 slots next year if they flop. She ignores his excuses, leaving the room to get back to her busy schedule immediately. Principal Wang looks at the tokens, crushed that his star student actually cost him a precious slot. He puts all his faith in Su now, praying for a miracle result. Back at the Red Rock Cave, Su checks his map and confirms his arrival. Luckily, the walkover was quiet, and he didn't run into any tough mobs. He never explored this specific cave before, so he is walking into the complete unknown. He steps inside cautiously, but a level 6 gold-digging goblin jumps out immediately. Su reacts in a flash, carving the monster into pieces before it can scream. But it's too late. The system triggers the goblin cave awareness. A massive horde suddenly spawns, proving this job change task is definitely not going to be easy. The system warns him that every goblin in the cave is now hunting him. It seems like triggering this mode turns the entire dungeon into one giant death trap. Stick with me, because things just went from 0 to 100 in a heartbeat. Let's dive in as he notices his weapon's durability is failing. Suddenly, a giant goblin tries to ambush him from behind, but he dodges just in time to face a rain of arrows from the smaller monsters. Even with his blocks, a few arrows graze him, proving these beasts are way smarter than your average dungeon mob. The pressure is building as his HP slowly drops. Su checks his mana and realizes he can't keep this up much longer. Surrounded by a swarm and a massive elite goblin, he stops trying to force it. Trading pride for survival, Su slips into the shadows to lure the monsters into his own traps. Deep inside the darkness of Red Rock Cave, those unlucky goblins walk right into his kill zone, where Su tears them apart with clean, surgical strikes. After that, Su assesses the battlefield and concludes that as long as he maintains the high ground, he can fully unleash his devastating Ayato/skill. Soon after, every last small goblin is dead, leaving only the elite leader standing alone. Meanwhile, a group of scared rookies is hanging out near the cave entrance, too terrified to even step inside. Standing there are Ding and his lackey, the 2 unlucky guys who lost a sword bet to Su earlier. They whisper and argue about whether Su or anyone else could really challenge a dungeon where monsters are level 7 and way beyond. Pay attention here, watch closely as someone finally steps out from the dark cave. It is their ultimate rival, Su. Now at level 11, he casually checks his system notifications for rewards, while his powerful presence radiates total confidence. But Ding just can't help himself. He lunges from the shadows, aiming for a backstab. Su sidesteps like it's nothing. Furious, Ding screams at his goons to surround Su and cut off every possible exit. Bad move. Su has zero intention of running away from a fight. While Ding rants about revenge, he realizes with a shock that Su has completely forgotten who he even is. Losing his mind over Su's disrespect, Ding orders his men to finish him off right now. As the crowd charges, Su decides it's the perfect time to test out his brand new toy. With a single thought, his sword levitates into the air, dancing through the sky with telekinetic power. The blade flies through the group, slicing and pushing back everyone with insane, surgical precision. Everyone freezes in total shock, because sword control is a high-tier move usually reserved for elite players, not a mere rookie. They have no idea he looted it from the elite goblin and used his talent to boost it to gold tier. Su realizes how perfectly this skill fits him, and you and I both know word of this power will spread like wildfire. Afterward, he looks over his dungeon rewards and stumbles upon a map to a hidden location. The map reveals a path connecting his first-class change to the final stage, which really gets him curious. While scanning it, he finds a surprising new quest linked to the cave regarding how goblins trade and live. Elsewhere, at precisely 11:30 a.m., A stylish, all-girls rookie squad is busy tearing through a pack of low-level monsters. They're cheering and celebrating their perfect teamwork after a successful hunt. One girl thanks Fen Fenzi, their 7-star awakened leader, for carrying the whole team. While the rest of the girls loot the bodies, Fen Fenzi looks around and realizes one of their teammates has vanished. She searches for answers, but then she finds a clue that leaves her absolutely chilled. While Fen Fenzi and her crew search for more goods, they suddenly realize one of their friends has vanished into thin air, and they're starting to get really worried. Goblins usually stick to dark and damp spots like caves to stay far away from the sunlight. This helps them avoid bigger predators and makes it way easier to launch surprise raids on travelers. They always live in packs, usually following the orders of a powerful chieftain or tribal elder. These leaders appoint specific goblins to act as warriors, hunters, and even priests to keep the tribe strong. To keep their numbers up, these monsters reproduce at an insane rate, growing their population almost overnight. After learning all about goblins and the disturbing fact that they hunt for human females, Sue finally reaches the exact coordinates where the cave should be. And that's where we leave it. The cave is nowhere to be found, and he's left wondering if he got the map wrong. Alright, let's watch as his eye of insight breaks down this entire crazy situation. The red cave hides deep underground, with an entrance masked by heavy, choking smoke. As Sue creeps inside the cavern, he quickly spots a pack of goblins lurking nearby. He knows the whole colony is here. One wrong move or one dead goblin would alert them all. Hiding in the shadows, he continues scanning the area for the treasure, but instead he finds a female student who was clearly brutalized to death by these goblins. Seeing this confirms every dark thing he ever learned about these disgusting creatures. Then he spots another student, Jiang Yunqing, who clearly fell for the same smoke trap as the others. Unlike the others, Yunqing is still awake and desperately fighting off a swarm of goblins closing in on her. Sue sees a perfect opening, let her distract the horde while he slips away to snatch the treasure for himself. As he turns to go, she screams that her sister is a massive conglomerate executive, and she will pay a fortune to anyone who saves her. Now pay attention. Sue realizes her high-ranking family ties and decides it is finally worth it to step in and intervene. Just as the goblins lunge for the kill, Sue hurls his weapon right into the middle of the pack. Using his sword control, he lets loose a blinding flash of energy, the legendary Ayato slash technique. Since goblins are natural enemies of light, they scatter instantly. By choosing not to kill any goblins, Sue successfully prevents the rest of the cave from being alerted. She thanks him for the rescue, but he just plays it cool, claiming he was only passing through. She tries to mention the promised reward, clearly grateful for her life, but Sue shuts her down, telling her to focus on surviving first. When she begs him not to leave her behind, he sternly replies that she would only slow him down. Suddenly, he discovers the treasure is buried right under the ground they are standing on. After digging it up, he uses his sublimation talent to boost the loot quality, transforming the basic silver chest into a rare gold-tier lottery treasure chest. Like the name suggests, a lottery chest has a high chance of dropping top-tier skills, weapons, or gear. Cracking the chest open, Sue finds a Shadow Flow set and a platinum-grade Soul Healer scroll, definitely not what he was hoping for. He worked his tail off for this, so finding only 2 items inside is a massive disappointment compared to the epic reward he was truly expecting. The gear is useful, but that Soul Healer scroll sticks out like a sore thumb. It does not match his profession at all. Yunqing remarks that the scroll likely dropped because of her. She reveals she is actually a 7-star Soul Healer, which catches Sue completely off guard. A system alert pops up right away, informing Sue that Yunqing has now officially joined his team. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Yao is horrified when she stumbles onto the cold bodies of her fellow students. Before she can even process the horror, the killer, Li, spots her and makes her his next target. She barely manages to gain some distance, hiding herself and trying to sneak away in total silence. But then snap. You and I saw that coming. Li hears it and lunges with a massive strike. Luckily, her quick reflexes save her, allowing her to dodge and put some space between them. He is shocked by her speed. Li admits he didn't expect a girl like her to survive this long, musing that maybe her academy isn't completely full of trash after all. Yao demands to know why he is murdering them, especially since his uniform shows he is from a school in the next city over. Li casually explains that his level 10 class change quest actually requires him to hunt down 50 players. He figures it would be too suspicious to kill his own friends, so he went looking elsewhere. He decided to visit their weak academy to do justice, claiming their school is to blame for having a reputation as the biggest producer of trash students around. Suddenly, he lunges at her again. Yao tries to block him with her skeletons, but he shatters them effortlessly, mocking her weakness as he closes in for a fatal killing blow. Just before the blade connects, a sudden interference blocks the attack, shocking both of them. Yanzei appears with his team, promising to keep her safe. Meanwhile, back near the Red Cave entrance, Sue turns in his treasure fragments and finally gets that sweet notification primary class change task complete. He is promoted to first class, and trust me, You and I are about to see some godlike power. Let's see if this girl's insane luck actually pays off. She also unlocks advanced skills that leave Su stunned, leading him to conclude that she has an infinite amount of luck. Realizing what he could achieve with that kind of luck on his side, he changes his mind and agrees to clear the dungeon. Hearing that, Yunqing gets hyped and starts yapping about how her sister hired thugs for the same goal, but they were totally useless. Su isn't a fan of the pairing, but he's strictly here to use her unique skills. Once they officially team up, Su gets a message from Yao and decides to go check it out. Meanwhile, over at Battle Avenue, Li, Yan, and Yao realize he hasn't even been using his full power this whole time. In just seconds, he wipes out Yan's entire squad without even breaking a sweat. He shuts down Yan's long-range attacks, making him look totally useless. Yan identifies Li as a genius 10-star talent with a blade maniac profession. With his men defeated, Li approaches slowly, complaining that he's only killed 35 people and is still far from his goal. As he closes in, Yan knows as a ranged fighter that he only stands a chance if he can somehow create some distance. But things are bad. Yao's mana is totally gone, and her necromancy is completely offline for now. Now pay attention, because things are about to get really desperate for them. Li lunges at Yan to finish him, but Yao suddenly jumps in and blocks his path. She tells Yan to run while she holds the line, but that only makes Li even more furious. He goes for a killing blow, but a mysterious sword suddenly flies in to stop him. Su is here to save the day. Yao texted him to warn him away, but he came anyway. Seeing her brings back memories of how she died protecting him in his previous life. This time, he vows to protect her. Su calls back his blade and charges straight at Li. Li identifies him as the level 10 sword controller he's been hearing about. He didn't expect a simple controller to have the upper hand, but Yan is absolutely amazed by Su. He starts looking for a way to provide long-range support and tip the scales. Suddenly, both of them feel a surge of powerful healing magic washing over them. You saw that too, right? Their faces when they realize Su has a partner? Su said he was going solo, so seeing him with a teammate makes them a little jealous. As she heals their wounds, Yan tells her to hurry so they can help Su fight. Yunqing just tells him to relax. Su is way stronger than any of them realize. After clashing with Su for a while, Li wonders why a simple controller has the moves of a sword prodigy. Li is impressed and admits Su is stronger than expected. But now it's time to see who's truly the best. Su remembers Li's name from his past life, though they never actually met face-to-face back then. He smiles and charges in, ready to see whose blade is truly the sharpest. Li attempts a flying stab once they're close, but Su blocks the strike with ease. Too bad it was a trap, and Li claims Su just walked right into it. Apparently, the energy from that move is enough to pin an enemy down for a follow-up strike. He throws his second sword, but Su just tosses his own blade to intercept the hit. Then Su uses his sword control skill to whip the blade around, sending it charging at the weaponless Li. Li barely dodges the incoming blade, but he still gets grazed by the edge. He grabs his sword and retaliates, but Su dodges everything, making Li lose his cool. Su pulls his sword back to his hand, taunting Li the entire time. Yunqing finishes the healing process, and the others rush over to help Su, only to find he already won. As Su turns to walk away, Li uses his final spark of energy to launch a surprise killer move. This is his absolute strongest skill, and he's been saving it for this exact moment. It's a rainforest rapid blade attack, and trust me, you and I are about to see absolute chaos. Seeing the fight turn, you and I are about to watch Yao rush in while Yan stops her. Yan warns her she is just throwing her life away, but Yao fights to get free, willing to die to save Suming. Suming calls out, telling her to listen to Yan and stay away from the danger. Cheng is in total shock. He is holding Suming after shredding him with blades, yet the guy is still alive. He is wondering how this is even possible, when Suming suddenly asks if he is actually sure he hit him. It suddenly hits Cheng. The voice he is hearing is not coming from the person right in front of him. Suddenly, the body in his hands vanishes into thin air. It was a substitute. Suming appears from the shadows behind him, mocking the guy for finally noticing the trap. Suming is rocking a brand new coat, looking like a total boss as he steps back into the light. Suming laughs, saying Cheng probably never expected a normal sword user to have a high-level skill like this. Turns out, Suming is wearing the shadow set he found inside that hidden treasure chest earlier. Now pay attention, because this gear set is about to make our main character absolutely broken. Every sword skill now deals extra dark damage. Best part? This damage completely bypasses any physical defense. The set also grants the Shadow Clone skill, spawning a fake to absorb hits. Even better, if he attacks while the clone is active, it triggers a follow-up slash. That extra slash hits for 50% of his normal attack damage. Talk about overpowered. As Suming closes the distance, he lets Cheng know this is all thanks to his incredible gear skills. Cheng refuses to believe it. Collectible gear sets shouldn't even exist inside a beginner dungeon. There is only one way to get gear like this, by finishing the professional class change quest. Cheng panics as reality sets in. He is absolutely furious that Su Ming managed to do it before him. With Cheng too weak to fight back, Su Ming tells him the only thing left to do is end him. He slashes Cheng across the chest. But right as he prepares the finishing blow, a bright light erupts above. The light warps Cheng away instantly. Yanzi recognizes this as the legendary life-saving ornament. Zhao is stunned. Yanzi explains it is a special tool that lets a player escape a dungeon instantly. One of those costs hundreds of thousands. You can't just farm items like that inside a normal dungeon. Su Ming tells his team the neighboring city must have spent a fortune to protect their 10-star genius. They really went all out just to keep that guy alive. Look, you and I both know something's wrong here. Just watch the reaction from this lady official. Wang is busy smashing a cup of noodles, but he still manages to ask the lady official if she has retrieved the real-time rankings yet. She says not exactly. But the data feedback shows multiple players at the 9 o'clock position between 12 and 12:30 p.m. Wang asks, what is so weird about that? It is normal for players to run into high-level monsters. The lady points out the analysis shows they were killed by other players, not by anything from their own city. Wang immediately realizes the neighboring city is already playing dirty tricks. He tells her to make sure every single data record is saved perfectly. Since their academy is always at the bottom of the rankings, they have become an easy target for bullies. Wang asks how the students are progressing, and she says things look good. Most of the teleportation zones have already been captured by the students in the field. Footage shows the top players have already organized massive forces to begin tackling the dungeon boss stages, and they are definitely not playing around. Apparently, Jiang is the one taking the lead, and he is showing a massive amount of potential. Wang hopes Jiang kills the boss to bring glory back to their school. The real-time ranking soon appears, showing Jiang at level 9. He is currently tied with Yanzi, who is also sitting at level 9. Yongxing and Jia are following closely behind in 2nd and 3rd place respectively. Wang is impressed, but he still asks about Su Ming. He is told that Su Ming is nowhere near the top. Wang doesn't buy it. He tells the guy to look closer and find exactly where Su Ming is. They are both left completely speechless, finding that Su Ming is still stuck on level 2. Ever since the announcement of his first blood, his level has not risen once. But you and I know he is actually level 14. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch our hero break the game's limits at level 14. Meanwhile, his teammates are seeing their levels skyrocket after just 2 hours of absolute monster carnage. Yongxing reminds the squad they owe it all to Su Ming since his power is carrying their growth. Jia brags about their perfect team comp, a solid healer backed by a long-range heavy hitter. With Jia's skeletons providing cover and Su Ming's insane strength, they feel basically unstoppable right now. Su Ming just teases them, claiming he is just a humble follower riding on their coattails. Jia tells him to quit the sarcasm. If he hadn't stepped in, Cheng would have finished them. Jia goes on about how incredible Su Ming is, and she is absolutely certain that their squad can march straight ahead and take down the dungeon boss exactly as they are. Su Ming agrees, but he is not hunting some common mob, he is going after the legendary hidden boss. Luckily, he just snagged the water ripple key after taking down that elite spike-toothed beast. Su Ming explains that to track down this hidden boss, they need to solve 3 riddles and gather specific items. Here is riddle 1, where the silver moon hangs by the shore and green waves part, and red armor sleeps deep in the abyss. Su Ming instantly triggers the silver moon location. He knows the novice dungeon has no actual weather patterns, so the silver moon must be a specific plant that grows into a lunar shape. Passing the lake, they find exactly what they were looking for, the hidden boss's lair. Riddle 2 says the lake water must turn to mist. Using iris petals as his guide, the armor waits beneath the sunken sand, and he has been gathering the trigger item since the moment he stepped inside. He grabbed iris flowers and that water ripple key, specifically to solve this final puzzle. The 3rd riddle tells him to hold the star pattern key so it reflects clearly off the very bottom of the lake. As 9 ripples circle the bedrock, a knight rests his head on his sword, waiting for light to finally pierce the waves. Su Ming combines the trigger items, and the whole area starts to glow with power. He places it over the water, leaving his teammates stunned by how fast he solved it. Now pay attention, because what comes out of that massive whirlpool is absolutely terrifying. A nightmare knight on horseback rises, confirming that the riddles have been answered. Red system warnings flash everywhere. The guardian of the lake has finally arrived. Meet the lost knight. The girls quickly join Su Ming's party as he takes the lead as captain. Su Ming tells everyone to lock in, this hidden boss fight is for real. 15 minutes later, the team is crouching in the brush. This knight is a total monster. You and I are probably wondering the same thing. Why are these elites hiding like scared chickens? Su Ming points out that the guy's horse is way too fast for a normal head-on fight. The knight's mount speed is 500 points, that is totally broken. Even if they combined all their stats, they wouldn't reach half of what this boss has. While the team hides out, the knight is busy hunting down any student he can catch, already wiping out 3 full waves of players. Since they are the ones who summoned this nightmare into the world, they believe it is their absolute duty to set things right. Jia reports that by following his specific orders, they have drained every mana potion to set up a massive delayed trap. Su Ming thanks her and readies the others. In his past life, he never actually fought this thing. Most players wouldn't dare face a hidden boss. It is basically common sense that most newly awakened players wouldn't dare risk summoning a hidden boss in the novice dungeon so early in their lives. Plus, you can only challenge the novice dungeon once in a lifetime, so almost nobody actually knows that this hidden boss even exists. Su Ming only knew the answers because he memorized some old vague records. But even he didn't expect a boss with a mount speed of 500 points. So what do you and I take from this? The boss is fast, but once he is off that horse, he is finished. Alright, you and I are about to see a masterpiece of a boss raid, starting with Yanzi sniping from the cliffs. The knight shrugs off the arrows like they are nothing, that heavy armor is basically a steel wall. But the constant stinging finally works, and the boss locks onto Yanzi as his main target. As soon as he pulls aggro, he signals Yunxing, who is already moving into position for the next phase. She ignites a fire, choking the knight's path with a thick, blinding cloud of dark smoke. The strategy is simple. Yanzi baits the boss with long-range fire, and then things get real. Yunxing drops the smoke to blind him, a clever trick, Su Ming actually picked up from those goblins back in the Red Cave. It is working perfectly. The hidden boss wanders right into the haze, completely unaware of what is coming next. Suddenly, he hits a wall of skeletons summoned specifically to slow his every move. Now, pay attention. Jia snaps her trap shut right as he tries to attack. It turns out she had this whole area rigged from the very beginning. Now that the boss is stuck, Su Ming finally makes his move. He lunges from the shadows, knowing full well he could not have pulled this off without his team's perfect support. Before the knight can react, Su Ming is on him, grabbing the armored titan and dragging him straight off his horse. The crew erupts in cheers. Their insane plan to unmount the boss actually worked. But Jia warns them to stay sharp. This was just phase 1. 10 minutes ago, she saw this coming. She told Su Ming that even if they unseated him, the real fight was only just beginning. Knocking him down is one thing, but fighting him while exhausted is a whole different story. Su Ming just told her they would have done enough when the time came. He would handle the rest himself. He was dead set on soloing this monster. Now, let's see if he can actually pull this off as the duel begins. Su Ming shows zero fear as their blades collide with a deafening ring of steel. The team watches in total awe, but Yanzi cannot just stand there, he wants in. Jia, however, tells him to back off. She reminds them of the plan. Su Ming has got the boss, and they have their own critical mission to handle. The heat rises. Su Ming triggers Shadow Step, blurring around the knight to land a barrage of lightning-fast strikes. Against Su Ming's blinding speed, the heavy knight looks like he is moving through water. Su Ming taunts him, noting his speed dropped from 500 to a pathetic 55 without that horse. He realizes this hidden boss is not actually all that special on foot. He continues to pour on the pressure, trying to end this fast, but even his best hits have not even cracked a quarter of that heavy armor. To make matters worse, Su Ming's weapon durability has plummeted to just 7%. He is running out of blade, and that thick armor is turning this fight into a total nightmare. He retreats to the trees for a breather and notices the knight frantically looking around. He figures out the knight is searching for his horse. Smart move, he knows exactly how much faster he is whenever he is actually mounted. But Su Ming tells him to forget it, that horse is long gone, thanks to his team. Right now, Jia and the crew are leading the steed far away from the battlefield. But man, that stubborn horse is giving them one hell of a hard time. Still, Jia keeps them focused. They have to do whatever it takes to keep that horse away from its master. This was the mission. Su Ming gave them their part of the deal while he handles the monster. Their job is absolutely crucial. They have to restrain that horse no matter what it takes to make sure the knight never gets back in the saddle. Back in the trees, Su Ming catches his breath. He sheathes his blade, preparing for a high-damage quick-draw skill to turn the tide. But the knight is not having it, unleashing a roaring water blade that nearly sweeps Su Ming away. He barely leaps back as the ground shatters. Who knew this bucket of bolts actually had skills? The knight presses the attack, forcing Su Ming to use sword control just to keep some distance. He is forced to fight aggressively, and his sword's durability drops to a terrifying 3%. Trust me, Su Ming is in trouble. One more strike, and his sword is history. He locks in his vision and sees the knight's armor is cracking. He just needs to survive a little longer to secure the win. The knight stays on the offensive, forcing Su Ming to scramble just to keep up with that insane agility. Stick with me, because this knight thinks he's got Su Ming cornered only to realize he just impaled a clone. Su Ming reappears further away, casually mentioning how his shadow skill works perfectly on monsters and humans alike. He activates the full set, clearly vibing with how much power this new equipment brings to the table. Su Ming hurls his blade using sword control, and this time, he finally shatters that annoying knight's armor for good. He lunges forward to finish the job, but right then, his weapon's durability hits 0 and it breaks. But Su Ming isn't done yet. He pulls a fast one and activates the shadow sword built into his set. With the shadow sword in hand, he delivers a brutal vertical strike. It is now 3:30 p.m., as Wang heads to the school's communication room to meet with the other academy principals. He's surprised to see the other leaders have already been in there chatting for quite some time. The principals play it off like they just got there, but the truth is pretty obvious. Wang is late. They start mocking him, asking if a single student from his school has even been strong enough to challenge the boss yet. Normally, the results for the dungeon clears start rolling in one after another after 3 p.m., but since Wang's academy is always at the bottom, they tell him there is no point in rushing. Now, pay attention, because Wang reveals he isn't late due to the dungeon results. He was actually busy tracking real-time data regarding a mysterious intruder. He claims players from outside have snuck into his novice dungeon, but their identity is still a mystery. He hasn't pinned down who it is yet, but he has a very strong feeling about where they're from. He's convinced the intruder belongs to one of the 3 academies in the neighboring cities. Wang looks at Principal Ji, asking if he's the culprit since the intruder is clearly using blade skills. He knows Ji has a genius student at his school who specializes in high-level blade mastery. Ji gets defensive and tells Wang to stop talking trash without any actual proof to back it up. He mentions that Cheng is currently busy taking on the final boss of their own novice dungeon right now. He brags about Cheng's talent, betting that he'll have the whole place cleared within 30 minutes. The Dongling principal jumps in to brag too, claiming he has 3 students currently fighting their own boss. Ningong Academy joins the flex, saying their students are also about to win. Hearing this, Wang feels the pressure. He realizes the competition is moving fast, so his academy needs to pick up the pace immediately. If they fail this year, they'll only get 2 slots for the Sky Tower Assembly, the lowest in history. Based on the reports, Jiang is the one closest to clearing the dungeon, and Wang is betting everything on him. Inside, Jiang is pushing his limits against Simba, a level 15 boss. Jiang and his squad are completely battered, but they keep throwing everything they have at the monster. His team takes heavy losses. Some even start fleeing once they realize they're completely outmatched by the boss. While others flee in terror, Jiang fights alone, obsessed with getting that dungeon reward no matter what it takes. It turns out his motivation is a message from Xiaoman, claiming Su Ming was the one who hurt her. Xiaoman begged her boyfriend to get revenge, and Jiang is ready to risk everything for the reward just so he can finally crush Su Ming. You and I both know what's coming, but Jiang is clueless. Suddenly, the monster right in front of him vanishes. He's left in total shock, staring at the empty air. Then, a system notification pops up for everyone. The alert informs every student that a secret squad has already defeated the hidden boss. It congratulates the winners and tells the students to prepare for a triumphant return home. Zhao and the others see the message and instantly know. Su Ming actually soloed the hidden boss. Back at the meeting, everything glows bright, signaling that someone has finally finished the dungeon. Wang stays quiet, not even dreaming he could win, while the other principals argue over whose student did it. The shock hits them all at once when they realize Xuanjing Academy was the one that actually cleared the dungeon. And that's where we leave it with everyone in disbelief that a hidden boss even existed in the first place. Alright, you and I are about to see how a hidden expert completely flips the script at Xuanjing Academy. Most people are convinced that Jiang and his squad were the ones who took down the boss, but they have no idea their real savior is Su Ming, who just hit level 16 after that fight ended. Su Ming's teammates are absolutely hyped, thanking him for the carry since they just jumped 2 levels thanks to him. Su Ming gathers the group, telling them they need to split the hidden boss rewards before the exit portal opens. Yanzhe tells Su Ming that he is content with the level boost and does not really care about the loot. Yunqing joins in, saying she is also more than happy with the massive experience gain they received. Yanzhe mentions how Su Ming has saved them from Cheng's blade, solved the hidden boss secret, and finally won the fight. Yanzhe says he feels guilty since he did not do much, so taking rewards just feels wrong to him. Now pay attention, because the loot he hands out is actually insane. He gives Yanzhe a powerful level 20 bow to use. Yunqing also receives a heart-soul necklace. This item boosts soul power, storage, and absorption speed. As for Zhao, she gets a scroll for blood armor undead summoning. Once she learns this skill, she can summon the hidden boss as a blood-armored undead knight to fight for her. Plus, the summoned creature's strength directly depends on the attribute levels of the player who summoned it. After sharing the loot, Su Ming explains that the drops are linked to their specific classes and rewards. He mentions this proves he is not the only one who sees them as vital members of the team that defeated the boss. Su Ming proudly tells them the dungeon itself acknowledges them, because without their help, this win was impossible. The challenge would have never been finished. Just then, the dungeon congratulates the students for clearing it, revealing that the whole exercise lasted for about 8 hours. Su Ming tells the team it is time to go. A portal opens behind them, and he explains that cleared dungeons enter a settlement phase. The contribution rewards for every player will be transferred into the real world once they finally step through that portal. As Su Ming walks toward the exit, he tells his teammates they did a great job. Outside, students are leaving, and those who lost friends are crying their eyes out. There is a lot of wailing because the casualty rate in this dungeon was incredibly high. Ming looks around and realizes that from the very start, everything in this world has revolved around the awakened, while some are mourning the people they just lost. It is a brutal reality, right? But stick with me, because some are celebrating rewards in this survival of the fittest world. The principal appears on the screen to congratulate the survivors, telling them this was their first test as awakened ones. He says this is the final lesson the academy can offer them as new graduates. Wang continues his speech, saying being awakened is not just about power, money, or honor. It also represents responsibility, love, and peace. He tells those who lost loved ones to remember the pain, while winners must remember the responsibility and pursuit of their power. While the principal gives his speech, Zhao asks Ming how he feels about all this, since so many of their classmates just lost their lives. Ming drops a bombshell, telling her not to worry because the dead students are actually going to be resurrected. Before he can finish, the principal announces that to complete the final lesson of this novice dungeon, every classmate, relative, and lover that was lost will be fully resurrected in 30 minutes. The students are shocked, and Jiao is stunned, wondering how Ming could have possibly known that would happen. Once things settle down, the dungeon begins the final phase to hand out all the rewards. The loot is distributed based on how much each person contributed and the number of monsters they killed. Everything is normal until it is Ming's turn. A massive list of achievements hits the screen, showing the monsters he defeated. The dungeon counts his performance as a perfect challenge, granting him a final evaluation of S rank. To everyone's shock, Ming alone was responsible for 91% of the dungeon activity. Later, he shows up at the data room to meet the principal. As he enters, the principal calls him the #1 student, but trust me, we're just getting started with this absolute monster. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a total sleeper arrives late to his own summons. In the final rankings, Ming takes first while Yanzhe and Zhang tie for the second position. Third place goes to Yunqing, and Zhao rounds it out in the fourth position. Ming realizes he is officially graduated now, so there is no reason to keep hiding his real power. Plus, he's not even going to bother hiding his stats. Soon, the gap between him and these regular classmates will be massive. While Ming ponders the future, the principal is literally clinging to his leg like he is a total savior. Ming asks the old man how long he plans to hang on, but Wang can only keep thanking him. Wang admits he has no clue how Ming did it, but he's just happy the kid pulled the school out of the trash. Wang goes on about how all the other principals were left speechless once they saw the final ranking results come out. Their academy is now #1 across 4 cities, and Ming is the top novice in every dungeon. Ming asks about Cheng, and it turns out he only managed 3rd place across all of the combined academies. Wang mentions that Cheng supposedly underperformed during his run because of some injury he picked up along the way. Now, pay attention here, because Wang wants to know exactly how Ming took down that hidden dungeon boss. He's just a 10-star sword controller, which is usually weak early on. Wang also knows Ming isn't from a noble family, nor does he have the cash to just buy himself a set of god-tier equipment, yet he crushed a hidden boss way above his level. Wang admits that in all his years, he has never seen a student this powerful. The principal also knows for a fact that Ming didn't pull this off just by using those basic materials he sent over, since those only give a tiny boost to a player's actual combat power. Before the old man keeps yapping, Ming cuts him off and says it was all just good luck. Wang looks confused, so Ming doubles down, claiming he just stumbled upon a bunch of rare skills and items. Wang is shocked. He wonders if the novice dungeon really hides that many powerful treasures and high-level loot. Ming just nods, adding that on top of all the loot, he was lucky enough to have met a group of really good teammates. You and I both know he's totally lying through his teeth right now, since he obviously can't mention the rebirth. He claims he never could have defeated that boss without a little help from his loyal squad. Hearing this, Wang decides that Ming is more than a genius, he's a natural-born leader. Wang reveals that when the other students came by earlier to collect their rewards, Zhao wouldn't stop praising him, saying it was a total blessing to be teamed up with Ming. Ming reveals that Zhao actually messaged him that morning, asking him if they could arrive at the academy together. But he refused, because deep down he knew she would just find a way to embarrass him with all her constant and over-the-top praise. Ming is ready to head out, but the principal stops him to hand over a Sky Tower assembly token. Wang says thanks to Ming's crazy performance, the vice mayor had no choice but to give them extra tokens from other schools. By the end, the academy secured 5 slots this year, going to Ming, Zhao, Yanzhe, Yunqing, and Zhang. Wang tries to explain what the Sky Tower Assembly is, but Ming stops him. He already knows the deal. Basically, the Sky Tower Assembly is the place that every single newly awakened student dreams of reaching. Once an awakened student finishes their challenge in the novice dungeon, they graduate into the real world. Most players have to grind through junior dungeons, slowly and steadily climbing up the ranks step by step. It's a slow and steady path, but the progress is painfully sluggish. But this token changes everything. because it gives the holder access to a brand new and much faster training channel. The challenges inside the tower are random, but the rewards are massive, and the power-ups are lightning fast. In his past life, Su Ming missed this chance early on, which kept him stuck with the rest of the pack. There just weren't enough resources to go around after being divided up. But this time, Su Ming is making sure everything is different. Wang offers his sincere congratulations to Su Ming, officially telling him that he has finally graduated. But stick with me, because from here on out, there are no second chances if he fails. Alright, you and I are about to watch Su Ming face a challenge where his life is on the line. Wang reaches out to Su Ming, hoping he can achieve greatness and leave a real mark on the world in the future. Su Ming smiles, shaking the principal's hand and promising him that he totally gets the message. Later, in the high-end district, Yun Qing is celebrating her major success with her wealthy family. Her father pulls her into a tight hug, saying how happy he is she returned safely and even took third place at the academy. He thinks the helpers Lan hired did the work, but Lan quickly clears up that confusion. Lan reveals that it was actually a student named Su Ming who helped Yun Qing. Yun Qing confirms it, saying the hired helpers failed miserably, but Su Ming showed up just in time to save her life. She says Su Ming didn't just save her, he even gave her incredible skill books and gear. Yun Qing lets her dad know just how powerful Su Ming is, and Lan admits they had a bit of a misunderstanding at the start. Lan says she never expected fate to bring them together, but now they absolutely have to find a way to thank Su Ming for everything. Their father is shocked that both sisters actually agree on something. Because of that, he decides it is only right for them to track down Su Ming and thank him in person. The father tells Lan to get Su Ming's contact info immediately, and mentions he hired the best chef around to celebrate Yun Qing's success tonight. Suddenly, watch closely as the man takes an urgent call. He steps aside to learn that in the past 2 days, someone has been sending professional assassins to ruthlessly murder their people. The man asks the official on the phone who's responsible, and the answer is exactly what we feared. It is the Zhang family behind it all. 2 days later, Zhao calls Su Ming to tell him it is finally time for them to head to the Sky Tower together. Su Ming agrees, but tells them to go ahead while he finishes getting ready to join them. When Su Ming is finally ready to leave, he remembers Wang's words that token he was given is the only way to access the tower. He has to summon a teleportation portal, and only those who qualified for the Sky Tower assembly are allowed to step through it. Su Ming follows the steps, and the portal immediately recognizes him as one of the qualified awakened. With a confident smile, he steps through the portal and comes out right at the 100-layer tower. Apparently, in his previous life, he only managed to reach this tower by pure luck. Let's pause here. Su Ming sees other challengers appearing all around him, but he's just incredibly hyped to finally get a second shot at this legendary place. He walks up to the entrance and uses his token to unlock the massive doors. The moment he steps into the hall, he sees a screen telling him and the other challengers to wait for the ceremony to start on the first floor. Su Ming is stunned. The hall is way bigger than he remembers from his past life. He's admiring the view when his teammates finally show up. Su Ming teases Zhao for being early, but she screams back that he's actually the one who's super late because they've been waiting for a long time. It turns out they've been standing around waiting for him for ages. Plus, the trio has actually become good friends after everything they survived together. Zhao says it's better if they stick together, since nobody knows what's waiting for them. Suddenly, Zhang lunges from behind to punch Su Ming, but he expertly dodges just in time. Zhang's punch hits the ground, and everyone turns to see who's already causing a scene in such a prestigious hall. Zhao demands to know what's wrong, and Zhang says he's there to get revenge for his girlfriend. Zhang starts summoning his weapon to show he's not playing around anymore. He threatens to take Su Ming out right then and there. Su Ming tells the dude that today isn't the day to settle their score, just as the hall's security system detects the fight and steps in. The prevention mechanism kicks into place, delivering a massive, stunning voltage directly into Zhang's body. Zhang hits the deck, but before passing out, he warns Su Ming that he hasn't escaped him yet. And trust me, you and I can both see it. It's obvious they're being watched by someone hiding in the shadows. Sure enough, Chang is off in the distance, keeping a close eye on them. Alright, you and I are about to see how Su Ming breaks the game before it even begins by leading his team to the seats. Everyone else thinks they need to read the official guide for the Sky Tower assembly first, but Su Ming knows better. There is no point waiting in line when the real secret is hidden right in these chairs. Zhao is stunned. She wonders how he keeps knowing these secrets, asking if he has actually been here before. Ignoring her, Su Ming tells them to just sit and wait. Soon enough, the hidden Sky Tower selection system flickers into life. Right on cue, a holographic window pops up, welcoming Su Ming to the official initiation challenge of the tower. Once Zhao sees her own window appear, the rest of the group quickly grabs their seats too. Su Ming explains that clearing the 100 floors of this tower is what decides their final ranking for the assembly. Zhao looks a bit confused, so Su Ming breaks it down simply. It is basically a high-stakes tower climbing race. The logic is simple. The higher you climb, the better your final grade is going to be. But if multiple people hit the same floor, it comes down to speed. The fastest climber takes the top spot. Jiao is caught off guard. She did not realize that every single second spent climbing actually counts toward their score. Now here is the part you and I need to watch carefully. She realizes they need to start while others are still lost. Ming nods. The actual ceremony is just a clever distraction. It is the tower's way of testing their observation and adaptability skills. If you wait for the ceremony to finish before reading the manual, you have already lost the race. The assembly wants challengers who can read the environment, find their own way, and seize the initiative immediately. Ming asks the group if they want to team up again, just like they did back in the novice dungeon. Yunqing is all in. She feels much safer just following Ming's lead. But Yanzhe speaks up, surprisingly deciding not to team with Ming this time. When asked why, he admits that they only reached such a high level in the last dungeon because Ming carried them. They relied way too much on Ming's insane strength. He does not want to be a burden. He wants to stand on his own 2 feet and train to become truly powerful. Jiao agrees. If they want to grow, they need a real trial. She suggests the 3 of them team up together, leaving Ming to handle the tower on his own. It is settled. Ming prepares to go in solo while his 3 friends enter the challenge as a separate team. Meanwhile, Cheng is still watching them like a hawk. He is gearing up because he is not finished with Ming yet. Ming is the first to step out, wishing his former teammates good luck on their own paths. Entering the first floor, Ming is officially registered as Challenger 001 for being the first to arrive. He is feeling confident, already knowing exactly which monster should be waiting for him. But then, a literal chicken wanders out in the distance, leaving him completely speechless. Ming is baffled. This challenge is nothing like it was in his previous life. He easily catches the bird, wondering what on earth he is supposed to do with a chicken. Last time, the first monster he fought was a level 5 beast, a deadly purple-furred fiend tiger. You and I both know this can't be just a chicken. Ming wonders if the tower is mocking him for being a beginner. Then he sees it. The chicken's level is just a row of question marks. That is not normal. Before he can move in for the kill, the chicken breaks free and flies away into the distance. It hits the ground and suddenly, the bird's entire aura shifts into something much darker. Its eyes turn blood red, looking less like a harmless chicken and more like a cold-blooded assassin. The bird lunges at him with blinding speed. This challenge is definitely not going to be as simple as he thought. Back in the hall, the ceremony finally ends, and the officials start explaining how the challenge actually works. But then, everyone notices something weird. There is already a leaderboard up and running. First place is held by Challenger 002, leaving the crowd wondering how anyone could have started climbing already. It turns out that number 2 is actually Cheng, and he just cleared the 2nd floor. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see how he handles this feather-brain nightmare. Alright, you and I are about to see our hero struggle against a chicken with insane speed. Even after pushing his limits, the feathered menace still manages to dance around his every move. Ming tries to keep up, but it is just a blur of lasers hitting him from every angle. He is beyond frustrated, realizing his current skills are completely useless against this annoying little bird. He needs a solution fast, because at this rate, this fight is going to drag on forever. If he cannot end this now, he will lose that crucial time advantage he gained by entering first. Ming decides it is time to unleash the hidden skill he won from the novice dungeon boss. He lunges forward with a massive swing, but the chicken just leaps into the air like nothing. As it falls back down, Ming smiles because he has the bird exactly where he wants it. Now, pay attention, he has already activated a secret technique called Sword Tomb. This move summons a massive blade to erupt from the earth, obliterating anything in its path. With the strike landing perfectly, Ming holds his breath to see if his plan actually worked. However, as the thick dust finally settles, the chicken is still standing, leaving Ming groaning in total agony over this never-ending nightmare. He realizes an ordinary bird should not be this strong. And suddenly, the truth clicks into place. The chicken charges in once more, but Ming is ready. He uses a specialized immobilization technique that freezes the bird in pure terror. He was right. It was just a normal chicken. Without wasting another second, he cuts it down. Turns out, the skill just triggers a natural stress response that paralyzes the target. With the bird finally cooked, Ming is officially congratulated for clearing the very first floor. He realizes this floor was never about raw power, it was a test of his wits. He admits this year's 100-layer tower is actually starting to get interesting. Moving to floor 2, he sees Cheng is currently number 1, as other challengers flood the tower. His head start is gone, but that only fires him up to push his speed to the limit. He is determined to win, and absolutely nothing is going to stand in his way now. Meanwhile, the crowd outside is furious that the long ceremony wasted so much of their precious time. As they scramble inside, they see Cheng has already conquered 6 floors to claim the top spot. Surprisingly, Jiao and her squad have cleared 4 floors, sitting comfortably in 3rd place right now. You and I know who Challenger 001 is, but the crowd is baffled by this god of slaughter. It turns out that after beating floor 1, Ming was given a custom title reward. This shocks him because in his previous life, things were different. Back then, he only got a cheap wooden chest with a totally useless healing potion inside it. He figures his rebirth has changed the world, and he wonders how far these changes will go. Regardless, he claims his old profession as his new title, officially naming himself the legendary god of slaughter. The system updates his name immediately. Seeing this, Su-Ming just smiles, feeling right at home again. Without holding back, he starts tearing through monsters, clearing the next floors in record-breaking time. The spectators watch in awe as he clears floor 4 in seconds, speechless at his incredible combat skills. Even though Su-Ming is amazing, they still doubt he can catch Chung, who is showing zero signs of slowing down his own climb. While Su-Ming hits floor 4, Chung has already blitzed his way up to floor 8. Su-Ming realizes he needs to lock in, knowing he is lagging behind after that first floor struggle. He one-shots everything on floor 5, while Ji Yao and her team finally clear floor 6 together. Ji Yao is thrilled with their progress, crediting their success to their nearly perfect and synchronized teamwork. Stick around, because you and I are about to witness if their strategy can actually stop our hero. Alright, stick with me, as Yunqing points out exactly how Su-Ming is about to break the entire ranking system. She lets the team know that in a massive burst of speed, Su-Ming has rocketed up the rankings and surpassed them. It looks like Su-Ming is already on the 7th floor and soaring past everyone else. Meanwhile, Chung just finished clearing floor 9 and notices the monsters are finally starting to get a bit tougher. But honestly, they still pose no real threat to him. He remembers that the first person to clear floor 10 gets a massive bonus reward. Chung easily figures out that the god of slaughter is Su-Ming. Even though he has no clue why he was so slow on floor 1, he is positive Su-Ming cannot catch him. Chung takes a deep breath, fully confident that he will be the first one to grab that 10th floor prize for himself. He has barely finished that thought when a notification pops up. Su-Ming just finished clearing floor 9 in record time. Both challengers hit floor 10 at the exact same time, facing a level 15 Minotaur. Outside the tower, the other students have given up their own challenge just to watch the rankings, because they know there is no point for them to rush, since there is no way they are going to catch up to the absolute monsters in front. They realized it is much better to just witness this incredible moment unfolding right before their eyes. Now pay attention, because the betting pool is about to get absolutely wild. Fighting the Minotaur, Su-Ming keeps one hand in his pocket, casually slicing through the beast while talking major trash to the poor creature. In just 30 seconds, Su-Ming wipes out the Minotaur, ending the fight with his devastating sword tomb skill. With the monster defeated, Su-Ming is officially congratulated on becoming the first challenger to clear floor 10, and he is granted a special bonus reward. Later on, Jiang wakes up in the medical wing only to find the nurse's chest dangling right over his face. He is about to lose his mind, but pulls himself back by remembering that the only girl he loves is Xiaoman. This instantly reminds him of his revenge plan. Jiang sprints back to the main hall, but to his shock, the place is empty. He realizes everyone has already left to climb the 100-layer tower. He clutches his head in total despair. He has been left behind, and even his quest for revenge is looking dead on arrival. Looking at the current standings, Jiang knows there is no way he can catch up to Su-Ming on the climb. Jiang regrets his impulsive actions and realizes he was a fool. He is convinced Su-Ming knew the rules and intentionally baited him into that trap. Now I know what you are thinking, but Jiang has one last card to play. He comes from a powerful, elite family, meaning he does not even have to get his own hands dirty. Jiang decides to finally use his family's influence to crush Su-Ming, even though he wanted to avoid it before. Jiang pulls out his phone to make a call. He goes to start the selection process but sees Su-Ming is not listed. Instead, he sees Chung sitting comfortably in the number 2 spot on the leaderboard. Chung has already reached floor 16, which just shows how much of a beast he is. Jiang is baffled by someone called the God of Slaughter at number 1, having no clue who it actually is. Little does he know, that is Su-Ming, and he is already pushing past floor 19. Meanwhile, Su-Ming is actually struggling a bit on floor 18 against a level 20 Amethyst Crypt Beast. Su-Ming can feel the monsters getting way more dangerous with every single floor he climbs. Not only that, but the boss mechanics are getting seriously complicated. This monster has its main body hidden underground, and that crystal on its head is nearly impossible to break. While he targets the crystal, the hidden body spawns waves of small mobs with defenses just as tough as the main boss. Su-Ming knows that if he was still using his old silver tier weapon, he could never pierce through their armor. Luckily, he snagged a gold tier weapon chest as his special reward for being the first to clear floor 10. Su-Ming then uses his sublimation skill to evolve that gold weapon into a platinum tier. He now wields the Blackstone Rift combined sword to tear through his enemies. This level 18 weapon was once a single sword that shattered into 2, and trust me, we are in for a ride. Later on, a smith used a precious dragon scale as the glue's core to forge the blade back together. Alright, you and I are looking at a legendary masterpiece that can switch from a heavy longsword to dual daggers on the fly. It is basically a dual-type weapon, and thanks to that dragon scale, these daggers provide a massive 200% fire damage bonus. Fighting in the longsword state gives a huge boost to the weapon's execution attribute attack. However, there is a catch: he has to sacrifice quite a bit of attack speed. That is why this form isn't great when he is dealing with a massive crowd. Ming decides to split the sword, trading 30% of his slashing power for a 50% speed boost. Even though his raw power takes a hit here, Ming uses his sword body talent to boost his stats, allowing him to enjoy both insane speed and lethal attack power. Meanwhile, on the 17th floor, Chung is stuck in a brutal standstill against a level 18 treant monster. Chung can feel that he has finally pushed himself to his absolute limit. He knows the treant's weakness is fire, but since he's solo, he doesn't have the skills to handle it. Chung is also furious that he hasn't been able to find any unique rewards to increase his attributes. After clearing the 10th floor, he only got a silver chest because the gold reward went to Ming instead. To make matters worse, his luck was so bad that the chest only held a magic accessory he can't even use. Standing before the treant, Chung realizes he can't push any further if he actually wants to keep his life. Without wasting a second, Chung pulls out of the 17th floor. At the same time, other challengers are stopping at floors where they feel they can no longer move forward. Some managed to reach the 11th floor, but they decided to retreat rather than risk dying in the tower. Now watch this back on the 19th floor. Ming finally shatters the crystal to expose the annoying monster hiding underneath it. He summons the sword tomb to drag the beast out, taking down the defenseless monster to clear the 19th floor. After clearing the stage, Ming notices that Chung actually stopped 2 floors ago. This proves to Ming that the difficulty of this tower gets absolutely insane after the 10th floor. He is actually impressed that Chung was able to make it that far on his very first trial. Ming knows from experience that floor 20 is his real threshold, as the difficulty spikes exponentially after that. Honestly, for his current level and attributes, reaching the 19th floor is already pushing his limit. However, he still wants to attempt the 20th floor just to test out a nostalgic old skill from his past. By the time he reaches the 20th floor, Ming has to use twice the strength he's used so far. But he can't even make the floor master move an inch. He uses sword control repeatedly, but the boss easily blocks every attack while standing in the exact same spot. Now pay attention. Ming tries to break through with speed since power isn't working, but that's useless too. This gatekeeper knight is level 25, and he blocks every move like he has 10 hands instead of 2. Suddenly, the knight unleashes a powerful skill directly at Ming. The knight's power is overwhelming, and even while trying to block, Ming gets pushed back with incredible force. Ming's health bar starts dropping fast. He realizes his current abilities just aren't enough to defend against the monster's powerful skill attacks. Getting hit just once by that knight takes away a full third of his health, and he knows he only has 1 hit left. Ming realizes that even with his rebirth, he still can't just ignore level gaps while fighting in the tower. He is not entirely surprised though, since he fully expected this to happen. But the reason he stayed for floor 20 was to use his level 20 skill, the God of Slaughter's Strike. This move was his absolute favorite in his past life, and it's finally time to let it loose. As Ming activates the skill, a massive energy sword begins manifesting above the enemy. Meanwhile, Chung finally returns to the hall. He hears the crowd roaring because Ming is still challenging the tower even though it has gotten incredibly tough. Since they have no idea who the God of Slaughter is, they start wondering where he came from. Everyone wonders how he is clearing floor 20 on his first trial. Trust me, you and I need to see what's next. Alright, you and I are about to watch Ming tackle the tower's deadliest floors. Chung is fuming in the shadows when a classmate arrives, taunting Chung about how shocking it is to see him actually lose since, that has literally never happened before. Back on the 20th floor, Ming's strike actually connects, carving out a massive 1/3 of the knight's health bar. But he is also on the verge of death. Ming realizes it's over, since even his God of Slaughter's strike couldn't put this monster down. Ming quickly pulls up his status window, and he withdraws from the challenge, admitting defeat. But right in that moment, something absolutely shocking happens. The knight tells Ming he didn't actually lose, but his current level and attributes are just way too low for this floor. He explains that Ming cannot even tap into the true power of his skill yet at his current level. Ming is left in total shock. He just cannot understand how a summoned knight is even able to talk like a person. As he is teleported away, the knight leaves him with a promise that he will be eagerly waiting for their next rematch. Moments later, Ming drops back into the resting zone, stepping out of the glowing portal and into the crowd. Instantly, every challenger gets the news. The God of Slaughter has finally failed his very first floor challenge. Even if he tapped out, the crowd is still stunned. He actually reached floor 20. That is an insane feat for anyone. They start hunting for the God of Slaughter's identity, realizing he must be one of the players who just teleported back. The crowd swarms the newcomers, desperate to find their mysterious hero, but none of them suspect it is actually Ming. Su-Ming is just glad his first floor title change reward is working, keeping these thirsty challengers from realizing who he really is. Even though he has his total concealment skill, now pay attention, because this is where we see Su-Ming's long-term plan. He realizes Jia and her team are still in the tower, currently grinding hard on the 14th floor as we speak. He is actually pretty impressed by this. It shows just how much they have improved since they first started. Since they are playing it safe and steady, he is confident they will be able to keep climbing even higher. Su-Ming then decides to proceed to his next phase. At level 20, his second profession change boosting task has finally appeared. Looking for efficiency, he decides to pick a subjugation quest that sits right next to the target location for his second profession change mission. Su-Ming scans the list and is surprised to see the available subjugation missions range from D to F ranks. After scanning the locations, he realizes he can only manage one right now, so he locks in subjugation quest D17. The mission requires hunting a Python King in the Nonli District Wilderness Forest for a reward of 10,000 Advent coins. On top of that, he is also going to score a random Platinum tier skill scroll upon completion. Then, the system notifies, Su-Ming that his Sky Tower Assembly token has been granted full permission to enter and exit the area at any time. With this, he finally has the clearance he needs to enter the legendary Illusionary Realm. The Illusionary area connects directly to the Sky Tower area, but it looks nothing like our ordinary real world. Let's pause here, because you and I need to understand the dark history of this world before the awakening happened. But when things changed, unexplainable anomalies like dungeons and monsters tore through reality. Humanity had no choice but to merge into this world of awakened professions, and through the blood and sacrifice of those who came before him, order was slowly brought back to a chaotic world that had been completely destroyed after the Great Descent. That is how the Illusionary Realm was born, a separate dimension kept away from the places where most humans live today. It is essentially a living space for demons and irregular beasts, which is why the human world is finally peaceful again. The trials of this 100-layer tower are the exact threshold that lets novice challengers finally step into the Illusionary Realm. Rumor has it the top of the tower holds the truth behind the world's descent, but Su-Ming never reached it in his past life. But in this life, he is going straight to the top. Just then, the system opens a portal for him, asking if he would like to choose a specific destination inside the Illusionary Realm, but Su-Ming declines. Before he goes anywhere, he wants to take one more trip back to the real world. The system opens a rift back home, while also dropping 10,000 Advent coins as his floor 20 reward. Su-Ming just smiles. That cash arrived at the perfect moment for the order he placed 2 days ago. Trust me, you and I need to see this new weapon's power. Alright, let's see how our main character gears up for his next insane challenge. Standing there again reminds him of how he got his first silver weapon by opening stones, but it is already way too weak for his future trials. He still loves the weapon's unique effects, though, which is why he made an appointment with a mysterious stranger 2 days ago. Even when Jia and the others offered to come along, he turned them down. He lied and said he was heading somewhere totally different from where they were going. Su-Ming heads deep into the basement to find his new contact, a female blacksmith. The lady greets Su-Ming by calling him late, but she's mostly just curious if he brought the remaining cash. Su-Ming sends over the payment and finally gets his hands on the weapon replica upgrade device. His sublimation of all things talent only works once per item, and the results are always a total gamble. Now pay attention here, this is the moment where his secret knowledge really pays off for his silver sword. This device boosts the item level while keeping the original skills and attributes perfectly intact. As the weapon levels up, those skill stats increase randomly, allowing Su-Ming to push the sword even further. He's relieved to see that the whole process worked out perfectly. It turns out the only person capable of making this is Nahora, an 8-star forger with a hidden profession. Nahora is stunned he found her, since she's been hiding in this warehouse basement doing quiet research. She demands to know how he got her info, and why he was so sure she could build this device. Nahora explains the materials alone cost more than 10,000 Advent coins. She never expected a simple student like him, who just awakened his powers, to be willing to pay such a massive price. She can't believe he'd trust a total stranger, but Su-Ming just teases her, asking why she thinks they're strangers. Nahora insists her memory is perfect, so Su-Ming quickly plays it off as a simple joke. Truth is, he remembers her from his past life as a legendary forger who eventually reached the top tier. Her relentless passion and hard work would eventually lead her to achieve massive success. Su-Ming collaborated with her constantly back then, and she forged all of his most unique weapons. Back in his previous life, her elite expertise cost him an absolute fortune. You and I both know this is a total pro-gamer move, hiring her while she's still broke. Su-Ming decides it's time to play his card. He tells Nahora he knows all about her financial struggles with her next big project. Nahora is speechless, but before she can ask anything, he offers to invest 10,000 Advent coins upfront right now. He promises to keep increasing her sponsorship as he completes more quests and racks up rewards. Nahora is absolutely floored. asking him if he is actually being serious about the massive investment. Su-Ming promises he's telling the truth, making Nahora think he's an angel sent from the heavens. But there is a catch. He demands a 70% discount on all his future weapon forging costs for the rest of his life. Without a second thought, Nahora agrees to the deal immediately. Later, Su-Ming visits the illusionary area to keep his quest going. This place is breathtaking, with massive trees that make him look like a tiny insect. Suddenly, the smell of blood hits him, so he checks the map to find the target zone. He realizes the hunt is to the south, but these giant trees make it impossible to see the terrain. They're way too tall to climb like the novice dungeon trees, so he decides to try a new trick. Even though he isn't a sword controller by class, he still possesses the sword control skill. He figures flying on a blade would be way easier, so he whips out his sword to test it. He steps onto the blade and activates the skill, only to fall and smash his head. The failure doesn't shock him, but something weird happens the moment he grabs the hilt again. The sword takes off, dragging him through the air at high speed. Trust me, you're going to want to see how he survives this wild ride next time. Alright, you and I are about to see a genius move. Su-Ming uses sword control to fly by, grabbing his weapon and designating a target. Su-Ming slices through the thick forest using this improvised trick, and he is totally stunned by how amazing the view looks from above. As he flies toward his goal, 3 other Awakened players also arrive at the D-17 subjugation quest zone. Surprisingly, these guys are hunting for Su-Ming, who was crazy enough to take on this quest all by himself. One of the trio thinks the main character is brave for going solo, but her teammate thinks he is just a clueless rookie. He suggests they just kick back and wait for some random monster to rip the guy to shreds. But their team leader, a level 27 Awakened, wants to move fast to kill him so they don't lose that sweet bounty. Meanwhile, Jiang has officially given up on his tower challenge after only reaching the 13th floor. He is absolutely furious at himself for falling behind early, which made it impossible for him to find a decent team. This first tower climb ended up being a total disaster. When he reaches the resting area, he sees that almost everyone has already left. This basically confirms that he is falling way behind in the overall challenge progress too. He checks the leaderboards and is shocked that Su-Ming's name is nowhere to be found. He wonders if Su-Ming just quit and went home. This drives Jiang insane because even if he hires assassins, he has no clue where Su-Ming is currently hiding out. Just as Jiang is weighing his options, he overhears Jiao and her team returning from their own tower climb. Jiang ducks into the shadows to listen. It turns out the team hit the 15th floor, all thanks to some seriously impressive teamwork. Yunqing brags that it is actually great they got such an insane score, without needing any help from Su-Ming. The trio then pushes to start the next quest immediately since they have already wasted enough precious time. Jiao tells her friends that she messaged Su-Ming, and he told her he already started a solo subjugation quest. Yunqing is stunned that Su-Ming is trying to complete this subjugation mission all by himself. While they are standing there talking shop, they have absolutely no idea that Jiang is recording every single word. Jiang finally gets the clue he needs from their conversation. Now watch this part carefully. Jiang immediately calls the assassins and tells them to find Su-Ming and take him out for good. Su-Ming finally touches down in the dilapidated South District. The place is littered with corpses, and he quickly realizes that this used to be a village for beastmen. Judging by the corrosive liquid on the bodies, he realizes this was caused by snake venom. This proves his target is close, but he soon realizes that there is another strange scent besides blood. He follows the trail, but to his total disappointment, it is just a giant pile of snake droppings. This gives him a terrifying idea of the python's size. Suddenly, he senses movement behind a tree and hurls his sword at it. You saw that coming, right? Well, Su-Ming is stunned to find a cat girl crying and screaming for him to stay back. She threatens to cut Su-Ming deep with her sharp claws, but all Su-Ming sees is a helpless, terrified girl. He turns to leave and calls her a pet, which makes her scream that she is not a pet. She is a level 3 catfolk, and she demands to know if he is also there to destroy her village. Using his eye of insight, Su-Ming realizes that the girl has the assassin profession, and her name is Leah. Suddenly, Su-Ming tosses a bottle at her. When she asks what it is, he explains. It is a healing potion. He tells her to drink it since she is clearly nursing some injuries. Su-Ming promises her that she is safe because he has zero interest in attacking her village. He points out that the village is already destroyed anyway. His real goal is the massive python that slaughtered her entire people. Leah's eyes go wide with fear. She warns him that the python is extremely dangerous, and he is insane to go after it alone. Su-Ming tells her not to worry because that snake is exactly why he is here. Leah offers to lead him to its nest. With tears in her eyes, she explains that the deadly python ate every single member of her family. Soon, the two are seen trekking through the dark and oppressive forest. At this point, Su-Ming starts to doubt if Leah actually knows where they are going. However, Leah lets him know that the python they are looking for is right ahead. Su-Ming is clueless until he looks up and sees the massive python. Trust me, you and I are about to see a wild fight. Alright, you and I are about to see if our guy can survive a D-rank nightmare. He realizes the python is way bigger than expected, proving D-rank quests aren't just a walk in the park. Su-Ming quickly decides he needs a total rewrite of his plan to take this beast down. Out of nowhere, assassins strike. Luckily, Leah shouts a warning just in time for them to dive away. They dodge the arrows that would have ended them, and the killers finally step out from the shadows. The leader actually praises Su-Ming, admitting the kid has some real talent for a student. He didn't think a level 20 newbie could dodge their ambush, but warns him that luck won't save him twice. The guy promises Su-Ming won't survive the day, as the trio launches a combined strike for the instant kill. Su-Ming evades the arrows, but the mage scoffs, telling him he has no chance against her spells. She blasts him with fire magic, forcing him back, and a glancing blow finally connects. Now pay attention, because this is where the fight turns from bad to absolutely hopeless. He slams Su-Ming into a tree, kicking up a massive dust cloud while mocking the kid's pathetic weakness. The leader calls it a waste of money to hire a whole squad for someone so useless. The trio surrounds him, mocking his struggle and calling him nothing more than a quick, easy paycheck. With his health bar nearly empty, Su-Ming asks the assassins for the client's name. After all, he is about to die anyway. The leader agrees to reveal the truth. He lifts his massive sword, announcing that Jiang ordered the hit. With one swing, he cuts Su-Ming in half. Leah watches in absolute horror, paralyzed because there is absolutely nothing she can do to save him. Stick with me here, because Su-Ming's voice suddenly cuts through the woods with a chilling revelation. Suddenly, Su-Ming appears on a tree branch, completely unharmed and already using his eye of insight to scan them. The leader is stunned. He thinks there must be twins, but Su-Ming explains they just wasted their ultimate move on a clone. The reality hits the squad instantly. They have been played like fools by a level 20 student. Su-Ming realizes the archer is level 23, and the mage is 25. In this harsh world, hunters killing other hunters is just business as usual, but to keep the balance, laws prevent conflicts between players with more than a 10-level difference to maintain basic survival. Break that rule, and you are a global criminal. Since none of them are over 30, Su-Ming identifies the leader, a level 27 armored swordsman, as the one with the highest level on the field. With that intel, he decides to eliminate the weakest link among the assassins first. Su-Ming drops from the trees like a shadow, pinning the archer and telling him not to move an inch. He warns the guy that health bars don't matter when your throat is slit. One move, and he is dead. The mage screams at Su-Ming for being despicable, but he reminds her that they are the ones who ambushed him. In his eyes, that makes them the only despicable people here. The swordsman tries to bluff, claiming a fresh awakener like Su-Ming doesn't have the guts to actually kill. He says the first life is never easy, but Su-Ming proves him wrong by instantly slicing the archer's neck. He just smiles. And trust me, you and I just realized that this kid actually loves the thrill of the kill.